Well, hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Today is February the 20th in the year of 2023. And I am your host, Valencia Stovall. And you are joining us on Issues and Answers. And we're excited about today's second part episode. So let's get ready to get started. So, of course, in celebration of Black History Month, we are continuing it with part 2 of the series on Blacks in the Bible. So, last 2 weeks ago, actually, we had Mr. Ron Mack with us, who's joining us again. But you are listening to the new WCEG Network. We're the worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life into the community. WCEGTalkRadio.com. You can click the live stream tab or watch us live on your smart TV, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn. WCEG Network. Subscribe free to our YouTube channel, WCEG Network, and like us and follow us. And of course, y'all know we have a new platform where you can download your free mobile app on iOS, Apple, iPhone, iPad. Go to the Apple Store, search WCEG Talk Radio on Apple TV, search WCEG Network TV on Apple TV. On Apple Watch, search WCEG Network, Android mobile phones, tablets, and go to the Google Play Store for the Android. Search WCEG Talk Radio. Y'all just search WCEG Talk Radio. Okay, so the disclaimer I must give. The topics and opinions are those of the show hosts and guests and not of WCEG Network. Thank you for your continued support and tell a friend. Well, of course, we just had our I Am Teen Summit. It was this past weekend, and we had a fantastic time. We had teens that came out from all over the metro Atlanta area. And we're just excited for the opportunity for us to have been able to actually put that Teen Summit on. And it was held at the Golden Glide Skating Ring, and our topics was gun violence, sexual health, and mental health. And I want to thank my partner and collaborative partner, Change for Hope, Dr. Deidre Poindexter, and of course, Georgia Youth Career Center was also there representing as well. So we're looking forward to next year's Teen Summit. We'll be back at Golden Glide Skating Ring again. So you all be on the lookout. And for those who did come out, we really appreciate you all for everything that you did. So now let's get into what the reason why y'all probably tuned in. We have with us, welcome back, Mr. Ron Mack. And so he is the author of Voyage of Despondency, African Holocaust series. And today he will answer more questions, more questions. So have you ever wondered if there were Blacks in the Bible? What about Ham and the curse? Did civilization start in Ethiopia, where there are still Blacks living today? Did you know that there was a dynasty king that was mentioned in the Bible? See, he talked about that last time because I wrote that down. And I even went and looked it up and read about 3 times. I was like, all the times I read this part, maybe it just didn't dawn on me that it said the name of the king and then of Ethiopia. And I guess I just didn't think any more of it. So I appreciate Mr. Mack, the knowledge and wisdom he's going to share with us today. So, Mr. Mack, welcome back. Y'all see that? Welcome back, Mr. Mack. Okay. So what additional information do you have to share with the listening audience today?
Oh, I guess good afternoon, Ms. Stovall. Thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate it. And I just want to commend you for all that you do for the community, for our youth. It just goes beyond measure. And just want to acknowledge you, commend you on that. We're going to get into some real good stuff today, and it's going to knock the socks off because we're going to go into why they are so upset with Kyrie Irving, Nick Cannon, and Whoopi Goldberg in regard to the Jews.
Uh-oh.
there's a lot of truth that they don't want to come out that's going to come out on this broadcast today. And so before I get into it, I'd like to announce that I'm having a book signing this Friday at the Nubian Bookstore, the South Lake Shopping Center, and the address is 1540 South Lake Parkway. It's in the Nubian Bookstore. It's going to be from 12 to 3. And I'm going to share my screen for a minute here to show you the books that I will be signing. Okay. So these, as Ms. Stovall mentioned, these are my trilogy on the African Holocaust, Void of Despondency. And what these books are, these are a fiction but facts-based novel on the Middle Passage. I feature such characters in the book as Nzinga, who is ironic that Netflix had just released a series on her, the Canal Born on Empire, the Crew, Ouida Castle, and so many others that are fact-based, but this is a fictitious novel. And so far, this, as you can see there, it's generated 26 5-star reviews on Amazon. Oh yeah, it's good. It's good. So this Friday from 12 to 3, bookstore, 1540 South Lake Parkway. Okay, are we ready to go? Yes, we're waiting on you. All right, let's do this. So first, I'm going to get into some things today of how a lot of things that we think originated with the Europeans did not originate with the Europeans. So we're going to get started on this right here. So if you look on the left side, you see the Washington Monument, right? Okay, we don't see the screen yet. Did you share it? Give me just a second. I was seeing it now. Yes. Okay. So on your right side, you see the Washington Monument that's erected in 1848, right? On your, so here's what we all want to know what the Washington Monument looks like. Do you ever where they got the idea for the design? Well, that's where they got it from. The Egyptian obelisks in 2500 BCE. So you see the exact duplicate of the Egyptian obelisk is where they got the design for the Washington Monument. Now let's look at this here. That's when I was in Egypt, or its proper name is Kemet. And you see the obelisk, several obelisks in the background there when I was there in 2019. Okay. Now, Ms. Stovall mentioned the curse of Ham. A lot of people have been led to believe that the reason why Black people were taken into slavery because Ham saw his father butt naked drunk and he was cursed for that. Well, that's just a lie. There is no inscription that Ham was cursed. Okay, but what they don't tell you, who the real descendants of Ham. So let's look at what the Bible says. This is Psalms chapter 78, verses 50 to 51. And so he made a way to his anger. He spared not their soul from death, but gave their life over to the pestilence, and smote all the firstborn in Egypt, the chief of their strength in the tabernacles of who? Ham. That's Psalm 78:51 in your Bible. That's King James Version. That's not enough to convince you. Let's hit some more scriptures. Israel also came into Egypt, and Jacob sojourned in the land of Ham. That's Psalm 105:23. Now remember, Jacob's name before he became Israel, his name was Jacob before he became Israel. If you go back and study, he was wrestled with this angel, and the angel told him that your name would no longer be Jacob, but Israel. Okay. The next verse, they forgot God, their Savior, which had done great things in Egypt, wondrous works in the land of where? Ham, and terrible things by the Red Sea. So if Ham is the progenitor of the black race, what does it tell you about the race of the ancient Egyptians? They were black. But you don't hear this spoken of, and I'm really surprised that you don't. Egypt is the land of Ham. And I could get into why a lot of things that have transpired. I don't have the time for that. If we want to do a part 3, we can do that, and I can explain that too, Mr. Stovall. But let's move on for the sake of time. Now, here's a bust of a Kemetic priest. Now, I say Kemetic because Egypt's real name is Kemet. Okay, Egypt is a Greek name, meaning land of the blacks. Okay. As you can see, as the caption says, unknown man, Greek period, one of the few Egyptians or any blacks who were allowed to keep their real nose. Now, what are we talking about here? Let's take a look. Let's look at the Sphinx, okay? As you see, this face has been disfigured. That's where you got your 21 gun salute. So when Napoleon reached this part of Egypt, he saw they had the facial features of a black man. He used 21 guns to disfigure the face of a black man. Now, when I was there, if you look a little closer, you can see the features. Look at the cheekbones, look at the eyebrows. You have to have been there to see this, and you can definitely see the distinct features of a black man of the Sphinx. Now, look at this here. Egyptian hair today and yesterday. Of course, everybody knows the young lady on the right is Brandy Norwood. Look at her hair and look at one of the Egyptian monuments. Look at the similarity, the braid. They were wearing braids in ancient Egypt, but you're not going to see it on movies like the 10 Commandments, the Gods of Egypt, and all these other fake Egyptian movies that Hollywood makes to portray the ancient Egyptians as white people. Okay?
All right.
There's more. Look at the facial feature of this lady here. Now, the one down in the far right corner is Nilmar, Pharaoh of the 3rd dynasty. Now, you look at the image in the background there, right? What do you see? The monuments don't lie.
No.
Every last one of those paintings are paintings of black people. Black hairstyle. I remember when Richard Pryor had visited Egypt, and there was certain places they did not want him to go because they didn't want him to see things of this nature. And they've even tried, Mr. Stovall, to whitewash some of these things, to whitewash the blackness off of these paintings. They wouldn't come off. This here is Pianke. Now, you mentioned Ethiopia. He's the Ethiopian king who mastered all of Egypt. If you see the crown on his head, the double cobra stands for how he was ruler over Egypt and Nubia, okay? In the scriptures, it says Ethiopia, but what's really talking about Nubia and the Sudan. That's a long story that, we don't have the time to get into, but just work with me on this. His son, now, let me back up. This is his brother, Shabaka.
Okay.
Shabaka was the second pharaoh of the 25th dynasty. When Pianke passed on, he turned on to his brother, Shabaka. Now, when Shabaka passed on, he turned over to his nephew, which is Pianke's son, Tahaka, which is over on your far right side. So we're talking about the 25th dynasty from 746 to 653 BCE. Now, I'm recapping this, Mr. Stovall, because there's something I'm going to show you that's going to blow your mind. Now, I want you to look at the crown. On Pianke, that's their war crown. Okay? And Tahaka. You see like the close-knit helmet, right?
Right.
Now, that's Tahaka again. More minds of Tahaka. And this is what he's mentioned in the scriptures. When the Syrians were attacking Israel, Egypt and Israel became allies, and this is where Tahaka marched on Sennacherib, the leader of the Assyrians to fight against them to help protect the Israelites. So you got 2 Kings 19:9, Isaiah 37:9. But watch this. Now these are the scriptures here. And when he heard say of Tahaka, king of Ethiopia, behold, he is come out to fight against thee, he sent message again unto Hezekiah, saying, okay, word reached the Assyrians that the Egyptian army, led by King Tahaka of Ethiopia, was coming to attack them. When the emperor heard it, he sent a letter to King Hezekiah of Judah. So you got two different verses here. This bottom verse tells you that he is the what? That the Egyptian army, led by King Tahaka. See, what we have to realize is that all that back then was one empire.
Mm-hmm.
Egypt was a lot bigger then than it is today.
Okay.
Now, Mexican peasants came across this large stone figure in 1850 in the Trans-Zapatas, Mexico. Look at the head, look at the head. What do you see?
A crown?
You see the crown. There it is again. Now, when I was in Ethiopia at the museum, they got the same monument, not quite as big, but it's big, not quite that big, the same exact monument. Where am I going with this? Okay. This is an excerpt from Dr. Ivan Van Sertima's book, They Came Before Columbus, The African Presence in Ancient America. And so he says that about carbon dating, it can be determined that the living human figures upon which these heads were modeled could not have appeared at La Venta later than 680 BC and could have entered any time between the average 800 BCE and 680 BCE, a period that roughly spans the 25th dynasty of Egypt. What are they saying? They're saying that Pianka and Tahaka and Shabaka, there's strong evidence that these pharaohs traveled here to the Americas.
Wow. Because of the stone head figure.
Absolutely. And carbon dating. So they're saying that, let me go back a minute here. These stone figurines, these stone figures, right? 850 to 700 BC. Okay. Now you notice that before BC, the timeline goes down, it gets closer to Common Era.
Right.
Okay. So they're saying that using common dating, these figurines came to being during the time of the 25th dynasty of Egypt, which was ruled by Pihanki, his brother Shabaka, and his son Tahaka.
Wow.
Now, let's look at something here. We're talking about Egypt in America, right?
Right.
Again, look at the crown. That's Pihanki. That's the stone, another stone figurine. Is this just coincidence?
No.
Now, that's what I was telling you about when I was in Ethiopia. You see me, right?
Right.
That's the one right outside the Ethiopia Museum of Natural History.
Wow. It looks just like the one in Mexico.
Absolutely. Now, look at the figures here. You know what that is on your far right, right?
Yeah.
That's George Floyd. Now, the reason why I brought this up because there are some Mexicans who are trying to say that those people, these Olmecs, are not African, but they're Mexicans. Well, you know what? A Mexican is just a mix of European Spain and Native American in Central America. I could go into that. I don't have time, but that's a little deep right there. They call them mestizos. Look it up. Once again, another figure on the right, on the left, found in the Americas. Very similar to Ethiopian on your right side. Now, the pyramids in Egypt were originally white and smooth. They were encased in marble. See this picture, right? And Mr. Stovall, they were not tombs, that we've been led to believe. Think about something. Let's use a common sense here. Why would the people with so much intelligence who built the first civilization build a 400-foot tomb? These were power stations. Wow. Let me show you something here. When I was there, you see the residue. You see the white, right?
Yep.
That's the residue of the white marble that when the invaders came in, they carved it and took it off. Just like they took off the gold cap that was at the top of the pyramid. One more time, you see the white residue. Was Earth, Wind, and Fire trying to tell us something?
Hey, they probably would. Look at that pyramid. Hello. With that. Yep.
That's so much. That's even evidence that they had wireless communication and electricity. There was wireless also back during that time. And let me throw this at you. They said Hippocrates is the father of modern medicine. You know, the Hippocratic Oath. Well, guess what? Guess who he studied under? Guess who he studied? He studied Imhotep. So if Hippocrates is the father of modern medicine, the Imhotep, who was not only a physician, was an architect, got to be the grandfather of modern medicine, because Hippocrates learned from Imhotep when he traveled to Egypt and studied at the temple universities in Egypt. So did Socrates, so did Pythagoras, or Pythagorean theories.
Wow.
And so did Hales. Hales was one of the first ones to go to Kemet. He learned about the solar eclipse and ship navigation while he was there, and encouraged the rest to follow. That's where the Greeks got that knowledge. And this so-called Greek alphabet, it's not Greek. It's Ethiopian and Kemet, or Egypt. Now, I'm ready to knock your socks off with this. Who is this on your left-hand side?
Picture of Jesus.
Picture of Christ. Now, a lot of times when I do this, Mr. Stovall, nobody knows who it is on the right-hand side, left-hand side, although that's scripturally accurate. But we see this one on the right-hand side. Oh, that's Jesus. Really? Okay.
And you know you went over this, so you probably want to speed it up a little bit, because I remember going over this part, but it's good that you're going back over to make sure everybody understand.
Okay, I'll be real quick on this, because I really want to get to that Jew part. And this is Daniel 7:9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and Ancient of Days did sit, and the hair of his head was like the pure wool. Now, this is New Testament saying the same thing. I go to 14. His hair and his head were like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were the flame of red, and his feet like unto fine brass. Brass is not white, ladies and gentlemen, as if burned in a furnace, and his voice was the sound of many waters. Now think about something. The angel told Joseph to take him to Egypt, right?
Right.
So he could blend in with the black people there. How is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed child going to hide himself amongst a bunch of black people? We've already established the race of the ancient Egyptians. Now, these are European images of Christ and some of the ancient European ruins and some of their churches. Why they make him dark? I'll move fast here. The Black Madonna in Poland. Some of the oldest depictions of Jesus in Europe show him as black. This changed during the Renaissance period. Why did it change? This is Pope Julius II. This is a picture by Raphael, right? He's the one that ordered Michelangelo to make Christ a European during the Renaissance period. Now let's look at the person that was the model. This guy here is Caesar Borgia. This man here, Mr. Stovall, was the incarnation of the devil. Why do I say that? I just taught my ninth graders about the Inquisition, the things that the Catholic Church was doing to people. This man was part of that. He killed his brother. He slept with one of his brother's wives. He molested children because he had the power to do so. He was a very wicked man. I could go into more details. I don't have the time for it. He's a very wicked man. But look what he was the model for.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Now, who really discovered America? I'm gonna tell you about this monster right here that I'm so glad we're really hip to this guy here. This man here was a total monster. You know what this is, right?
Yeah, Christopher Columbus.
That's Christopher Columbus. I'm gonna be real brief. This man took a population of 8 million down to about 100,000 of the Arawakas, the Taino, and the Shobones of the Native Americans where he landed. He never stepped foot in North America. He chopped off. Now, let me back up. When the Native Americans met him, and that's proof in his journals, they presented him with gold that they received from Africans from the South, from dark-skinned people from the South. That's where they made that mistake. This man went back to Spain, came with an armada of 15 ships, 1,700 men, and he decimated those people, decimated the island. He chopped off their hands. He burned them alive. He fed men, women, children, the dog, and some things I'm not going to mention that he did. He was a total monster. Got you. Let me move on quickly here. Once again, strong evidence that West Africans arrived in Mexico in 750 BCE, and these are some more of those stone figurines. When Columbus reached Haiti, the natives had spear points made of guinan, identified to a material made by West Africans, which they told Columbus they had received from Black traders. See, when the Blacks came over, they traded with the Native Americans, and the mistake they made was that they felt that the Europeans would be the same way, they could trade. There are traces of diseases common in Africa that have been found in corpses in Brazil, dating before who? Columbus. Let me move on quickly here. Look at the monuments here. We got Mexico. We got Egypt. We got Cambodia. Look at the similarities. Black people have been all over the world, and built civilizations. But see, they're not going to tell you that. Once again, I'm moving fast here because we covered much of this right here. These are the back of some of the Olmec heads. Look at the back of this child's hair braid.
Wow.
These are the books of Timbuktu. I wish I had time to tell you about Sankora University, but this was a university that was started in 989 BC. I'm sorry, AD. And this is where they got toothpaste from. One of our students, Dior, did this last week, Ms. Stovall, and our Black History Spotlight. So the books of Timbuktu, and what they did, they buried their books so that their knowledge will not get destroyed and be claimed by somebody else.
So what were those books found?
They were found.
Okay.
They exist right now today. And what's ironic, Ms. Stovall, is that these books, let me go back. I know my time is short, but think about something. You bury some paper in the ground. Hundreds of years later, it's not going to be there.
Right. It should have been destroyed by the worms and all kind of.
Absolutely. But there was some kind of preservative on these books where they are still exist today and can be read. They in Arabic, because Timbuktu was the Islam nation, but nonetheless, it's there. So they came up with the recipe for toothpaste over 500 years ago using natural salt, natural sugar from the sugarcane, and charcoal. Now you think, how does sugar good for clean your teeth? Well, it's the bleach sugar that gives us cavities. In Africa, and ask anybody from the Caribbean, they use the sugarcane to clean their teeth. Wow. Now you notice they're putting charcoal back in toothpaste now. You can go in Walmart, anywhere, you'll see charcoal in toothpaste. Hey, it's like the brothers had it right from the beginning. Am I correct to say that?
Yes.
Now, this is a guy, Abubakari, Javon Manning did him. He made to America 200 years before Columbus. This is Mansa Musa's older brother. Okay. In 1310, he sent 250 ships across the Atlantic from Mali. In 1311, he sent 2,500 ships across the Atlantic from Mali across the Atlantic. And he joined that fleet and turned the kingdom over to Mansa Musa. Now, let me throw this at you. We've heard of Mansa Musa, right?
Mm-hmm.
We haven't heard of his older brother, Mansa Bubakari, because to do that would dispel the myth that Europeans came across the Atlantic before the Africans did.
Right.
This right here was found in the cave of Illinois called Burroughs Cave.
Wow.
Okay? And this,
you said in Illinois.
yes, in Illinois, it's called Burroughs Cave. Look it up.
Wow.
The story of Burroughs Cave is more about human behavior than archaeology. It is the story of a alleged cave containing a tomb of an African king who reached North America in the 1st century AD and the subsequent controversy that the artifact created. They don't want you to know this. The best way to deny people their greatness is to deny them their true history.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me give you a math problem real quick. Let's go with what biblical scholars say that the earth is only 6,000 years old. Our enslavement was only 400 years, right?
Right.
That amounts to 0.06%. What were Black people doing the other 94% of those 6,000 years? Look at this here. Egypt, Peru, same artifacts. How is this possible? You see the pyramids all the way in Egypt, same type in South America. This is found in the Grand Canyon. Oh, they don't tell you about this though, do they? Ecuador, no. Egypt. Look at this. Now, this we're gonna get into the meat of this right here, and I'm gonna wrap this up. This is the second president of Egypt, okay, Nasser, Abdel Nasser. Look at his quote about fake Jews currently in Israel. You will never be able to live here in peace because you left here Black and came back what? White. He says it in 1952. Hello. Now, this is some of the books. I'm not gonna read all of this, but it said these people that call themselves the Jews are descendants of the fierce Turkish Khazar tribe. Okay. They adopted Judaism between the 7th and 9th century. Today, the Khazars are known as the Ashkenazi Jews and Israelis, not because of race or genealogy, but because of religious conversion. As stated, and you go see this in script, the Bible declared that there would be Israelite imposters. Those imposters had inadvertently or deliberately identified themselves by their own writing. I'm gonna move faster. I know my time is up. Okay, but let's go with what the scripture says.
You got about 12 more minutes, so go ahead. Now
look at this where I said Ashkenazi Jews, right? Let's go back.
Ashkenazi.
Ashkenazi. This is gonna knock your socks off here. Look at this word. Do you see any other word in that word? Ashkenaz is the son of Gomer, son of Shaphat, son of Noah.
Okay, I just see Ashkenazi on here.
All right. You don't see it, do you?
I just see the word, but I see Nazi.
You see Nazi. See, the thing of it is, Mr. Stovall, we've been led to believe that these are different people. They are the same people. Nazi. There's a movie called The Boy in Striped Pajamas, right? And this movie is about a son of a Nazi colonel and this little so-called Jewish boy that made friends over the fence. And the mistake they made was the colonel's son wanted to be so close to his friend that he climbed under the fence and put on some of the pajamas that the little Jewish boy was wearing. But guess what? He got killed in the gas chamber.
Wow.
Now, this scripture, this is in the Bible, King James Version, right? It says, I know thy works and tribulation and poverty. Who's that described? But thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Revelation chapter 2, verse 9. Not convinced? Let's go to 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I'll make them come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. This is Christ speaking. Why would he say that twice? See, anybody can be a Jew, Mr. Stovall. All a Jew is somebody who follows the religion of Judaism.
Okay.
But you can't be a Hebrew.
Okay.
To be a Hebrew, you have to be a descendant of Abraham.
Okay.
So you saw earlier, this documented that these people became Jews through conversion for political and power reasons, not for religious reasons. And the United States and Britain backed them up. That's why they got so bent out of shape with Kyrie, because Kyrie Irving put it out. There's a document in the book called From Hebrews to Negroes that proves who we are. That's why it reminded me of that scene from Roots when they were beating Toby, trying to get him to say his, trying to say his name, tell him your name is Toby.
Toby, yeah.
You know, that was like a political whipping they gave Kyrie. Same thing with Nick Cannon. Today apologized. Whoopi Goldberg, all she said was Jew is a religion, not a race. They got all been out of shape. Took off the show for a minute.
Wow.
Synagogue of Satan. What are they afraid of?
The truth.
Now, let the Bible tell you who the real Jews are. I'm sorry, the real Hebrews, because the word Jew is not in Genesis at all. So let's read this. This is Genesis 37, 25 to 27. And they sat down to eat a meal. Then they lifted their eyes and looked, and there was a company of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead with their what? Camels, bearing spices, balm, myrrh, on their way to carry them down to where? Egypt. So Judah said to his brothers, what profit is there if we kill our brother and conceal his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Israelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh. Okay. They came by camel on land, taking them to Egypt. The scripture does not mention anything about them crossing any body of water, right?
Right.
Now later on, when Joseph became prime minister to deal with the famine, his brothers came twice. They traveled by donkey, not boat, by donkey, right?
Right.
So if they traveled by land to a place in Africa, where were they already?
They had already been in Africa.
They were already in Africa. So what does that make them?
Africans.
It makes them Africans. That's me when I was on a camel. Scared the crap out of me when I first got on the thing, but afterward it was fun. I wanted to do it again. I tell you, when they said we're gonna be on that beach for 30 minutes, I said, oh no. But when I got on and had fun, I didn't want to get off.
Wow.
And this right here is Deuteronomy chapter 28. Look at chapter 6, verse 68. And as the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt's slavery again with what? Ships, slave ships. By the way thereof, I spake unto thee, Palestine, thou shalt see it no more, Africa, your homeland, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies, colonial powers, for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. In other words, no man shall redeem you. Now, Egypt is symbolic for slavery. When Jacob and his family came to Egypt the first time, they didn't come by ships, did they?
No.
Okay. Why does it mention ships?
That means you had to get on the water.
Huh?
I said, yeah, I had to be on the water. That means
you had to be on the water.
And leave Africa.
You had to be on the water. Now, there's some people that's under the impression that we being the descendants of Shem and other African being the descendants of Ham, that we're not African. But if you read the scriptures, when Abraham was traveling all over Egypt, Remember, he went into Egypt, and Pharaoh wanted Sarah because she was fine. I guess she was so fine, Pharaoh wanted him. So Abraham was scared that Pharaoh would kill him and take Sarah. So he said Sarah was his sister.
Right.
So they were originally in Africa. Just because they're two different brothers don't mean they were not two descendants of African people. And there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down into where? Egypt, to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land. And it came to pass, when he was come near to into Egypt, that he sent unto Sarai. This before he became Abraham, and Sarai became Sarah. Behold, now I know that thou art a fine woman to look upon. I'm substituting fair for fine, okay?
Okay.
Therefore, it shall come to pass, when the Egyptians shall see thee, that they shall say, this is his wife, and they will kill me, but they will save thee alive. Where was he once again?
In Egypt.
He was in Egypt. He was in Egypt. I'm going to jump to 28, and I'm going to wrap this up. Then there were Midianites merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, and they bought Joseph into Egypt. And the Midianites sold him into Egypt unto Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh and the captain of the guard. Once again, there's a camel that traveled by land. They're already in Africa. Egypt was a very large empire at the time, not as small as it is today.
Woo.
So now you know why they were so upset at Kyrie Irving. What did he do was so wrong?
Gave out information
that they didn't want to be given out.
Yeah, what was that? There's a question. What was that Bible reference? Again, the one that you just mentioned, the last one.
That was, and I'll go back. This is Genesis 37.
Genesis 37. And
25 to 36.
Yeah, Genesis 37, 25 through 36. Okay. Okay, you want the one started with the Deuteronomy? Trying the one with the Deuteronomy?
This Deuteronomy 28. I'll go back so they can see it.
Okay.
That's Deuteronomy 28, 68.
Okay, Deuteronomy 28, verse 68.
Yes, and there's a lot more that I don't have time to go into. If you want to part through, I'd be glad to do it. I got a lot of stuff to throw at you. A lot of stuff. Even where they got the idea of the Constitution.
Yeah, we're going to have to see. You know, I got something scheduled for March the 6th. We're going to see.
We don't have to confine Black History to February, Mr. Stovall.
No, that's year round. This information is year round.
365, 24/7. As I got them out door at school.
Right. Okay, I will definitely pass your information on, Dr. Poindexter. She said she definitely want to speak to you. So I would definitely pass Mr. Mack's information on to you. Matter of fact, Mr. Mack, what is your email and how can they get in touch with you?
I will put my email in the chat.
Okay.
And along with my direct phone number.
Okay. We definitely appreciate you taking time. Oh my goodness, this part too. And even going back a little bit with sharing with us what you did in part one. And then, you know, kind of relating it. I mean, I was taking notes again, especially about those burrows in the caves in Illinois. And like you said, besides the Olmec, is it Olmec? It's the
OMAC.
OMAC. Okay. Besides the OMAC figures, proving that blacks were here before Christopher Columbus, and now when you talk about the boroughs way up in Illinois, which is way north, so they tell you that they weren't just down south in Mexico.
Oh no,
they had to travel up north.
Grand Canyon,
all over.
Grand Canyon,
right, and the Grand Canyon out west.
Mr. Stovall, I taught Georgia studies, and I taught the kids one of the 11 tribes of Georgia were the Yamasee. Okay, Yamasee, they were actually African, and they were the most fierce tribe of the 11 tribes of Georgia. Now, the people who had this Cherokee in them are going to be a little disturbed what I'm going to tell you. The Yamasee War of 1715, the Yamasee were defeating the British. They wiped out 7% of South Carolina's white population. But guess who turned on them? The Cherokee turned on them, gave the British their secrets, and that's how the Yamasee were defeated. They had a whole confederation, the Creek, the Muscasuck, all them. All those Native Americans of the southeast part of the country, they were winning that war. Now, the Cherokee took off their natural cultural garments and adopted the Europeans. They even had black slaves. There's a documentary called Black Slave Red Master. Anybody can pull it up. Black Slave Red Master, with this black guy who was the center of the Cherokees, go to the details, the part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this.
Well, Mr. Mack, you're going to have to hold that right there. You're going to have to hold that. They're going to have to come back again. Because I know once you get started on that, that's a whole nother class period there. And so we're going to stop it right there. Mr. Mack, again, tell them where you will be on this Friday with your book signing, give them the location and the time.
Yes, I will share the screen and put the address in there. It's going to be at the Nubian Bookstore. And the address you can see down in the bottom right corner, 1540 South Lake Parkway. And it's going to be from 11 to 3.
Okay.
And I have all 3 books available. Book 1, book 2, and book 3.
And what was the time? What was the time again?
11 to 3.
Okay. And that's this Friday?
Yes, ma'am. And in all 3 of these books, I got scriptures referring back to the transatlantic slave trade. See, Mr. Stovall, as you see, the transatlantic slave trade was prophesied in the Bible. God's people got so wicked that they turned their backs on him, even to the point they would sacrifice their own children to idol gods.
Okay, listen back. We're going to stop there. I got to finish up. I have to be out of here at 5 o'clock. So we'll have to come back. We'll definitely have to come back, even if it's that March the 20th, my March the 20th show. But we'll talk about it and see when we can be able to bring you back for some more information. And then you all, if you have some questions, I put into the chat how to contact Mr. Matt. He is available for contracting with him to come out to your group, your church, or wherever you want, and he can be able to really sit down and really go into details about it, be able to answer those questions that you might have about his presentation, and also talk to him about his books, The Voyage of Despondency, The African Holocaust. I read book 1, 2, it's 3 parts, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I've done 2. I'm halfway done with 3, and I had started reading at nighttime. And then I had a dream and I got to fighting. So I said, I can't read it at nighttime. I'm gonna have to read it during the daytime so I could calm down, because I got so upset about what has happened to our ancestors. So Mr. Mack, thank you so very much for joining us today for the information. And now we're going into Say What. So you all know that whenever I do my Say What, it is every day there are situations that happen to us, that happen all around us, that make us want to say, what in the what? Yeah, say what. So the first say what? The Church of England no longer is looking at no longer recognizing God as male. They are considering gender neutral pronouns, according to an article on NPR. So y'all can Google this, Church of England, God pronoun or God as a male, and you'll read it yourself. In reply to some people having concerns of when this is going to be brought up to talk about, Bishop Michael Ipgrave, vice chair of the church's liturgical commission, said the question was already being studied. Now look at here, they said the question was already being studied, adding that the church plans to launch a new project in the coming months to consider how gendered language should be used in reference to God. What about that? What about that? Say what? Yes. Okay. Y'all hold on. My second say what? A mother in Miami said she was shocked and outraged after the staff at her children's daycare shared photos with parents of students in blackface as part of Black History Month. Say what? How is that a daycare center thought it was appropriate to paint all the kids' faces black? Many of y'all know what black faces represented in the early 1900s. It was a negative connotation for Black people. So they painted these little children, these little babies' faces black, saying that was in support and recognition of Black History Month. So, and this was according to CNN. So all y'all gotta do is Google it. Say black daycare center, black faces, and they're gonna come up. The photos were posted by a teacher on the school's messaging app on February the 3rd, along with a message that read Black History Month. What? According to screenshots that were shared with CNN. Politis said the parent of one of the toddlers shown in the photos with what appears to be dark paint covering their face called her that day and shared the screenshots with her, saying it was sickening. That parent declined CNN's request for an interview. So you all, when people talk about racism, it's overrated. There's really nothing going on, and some Black people that are just making too big of a thing out of stuff. No, this is sad in 2023 that you have a daycare center. And that's early learning. That's the early growth of our minds, our young future minds. And they're painting their face blackface instead of showing them pictures, talking about it, acting it out. I have to do a quick shout out to Ebony Dolphus, who's a kindergarten teacher. And actually, she was talking to her students about Ruby Bridges. And so what they did was they actually dressed up in the outfit similar to what Ruby Bridges would have dressed up in. And they read the book, and they even acted out different parts of what actually happened to Ruby Bridges. So if you want to talk about Black History Month, celebrating it, you do that, not painting in the faces. And then how they think that was okay? Okay, say what? Yes, yes. So going into my announcements, I know y'all hold on. I know you're take a deep breather because just thinking about the Church of England having a debate about a gender neutral God, and then the daycare center with the black faces. Okay. I find these things out. I'm usually riding in my car, listen to a radio, or I have to search something on the computer, and I say, what? Make me say what? So that's how I end up getting this information. Now, if you all have some say what's or some other show ideas that you would like to share with me, you can reach me at contact@ghoststovall.com and send them to me. So, of course, the Georgia Single Parent Legacy Builders will kick off on March the 21st, which is the official holiday in Georgia for House Resolution 279. Yes, for those of you all who did not know that March the 21st of every year is Georgia Single Parent Day. And we have to recognize our single parents who do an outstanding job of raising their children to become productive citizens. We're not glamorizing or saying you should be a single parent. What we're saying, you're a single parent and you need the support and help that should be made available to you. So we recognize these parents, male and female, who are doing an outstanding job. And it's going to be at, we're going to have a awards luncheon Saturday, March the 25th at Sonesta Atlanta Airport Hotel in the East Point, Atlanta area. And if you know of a single parent, whether male or female, even if you're grown and you want to recognize your parent, buy them a ticket. It's only $40. Go to the website at https. Y'all just go nationallg.org. I'm gonna put it in the chat. And also, you can also, if you follow me on Facebook, you'll see me posting a lot. We're looking for sponsors. We're looking for vendors. And if you would like to place an ad in our program ad to recognize your single parent, then you may do that as well. But if you're not sure, then definitely contact me. Contact at ghostovall.com, or you can DM me. Send me a message and I'll definitely respond. Okay, you know I'm a co-presenter for Making the Connection with the 411 Clayton County. And we held our last meeting on the 13th. We actually went and attended the Clayton County School Board meeting. But and so we're excited to hear the things that those parents have learned and community members have been able to gain to empower themselves to be able to speak up for what they know it should be done in Clayton County. And so we're going to be having our graduation on March the 7th, and we're going to be recognizing them, being able to let them talk and talk about their experience. And it's just heartwarming for the work that the time we put in, and we thank You Serve 360. We thank Seven Pillars Career Academy, also seniors supporting seniors, Georgia Youth Career Center, and United Way of Greater Atlanta for being able to allow this to happen. And I also thank you, of course, my sister, Sharon Daniel, who was a co-presenter with me for these workshops. Okay, you know, Reaching Across the Aisle will be on this evening. You want more information, you contact me. Special elections in Clayton County, March the 21st are those elections. And I will be sending an invite out to those candidates, not just in Clayton, but also in Mableton, the city of Mableton. They have elections that'll be taking place March the 21st as well. So I have a few people I'm gonna send out invites to, let them come on my next show, which is gonna be March the 6th. So of course, time has caught us. All good things must come to an end. The goal of Issues and Answers with yours truly, Hon Valencia Stovall, is to educate you on those things you might not think about unless you are in a situation to be concerned. And so we appreciate you tuning in. We ask you to share, like this show, share it with your friends. And it's the outstanding information Mr. Ron Mack gave us about Blacks in the Bible. So information you may have known is other stuff you might not have known. But it's okay because I learned as well. So remember, meet us back here, same time, a different date, which would be Monday, March the 6th, for more information about, hey, who knows what? We know we're going to be talking about the candidacy, and then we're going to look at how we can bring Mr. Mack back again. Mr. Mack back, yeah, bring him back again to talk about more historical things when it comes to Africans and Blacks here in America and internationally. All right, well, thank you all so very much, and we thank you for listening. And check us out. We'll be back here March the 6th at 4 p.m. Have a good evening.